this isn't, yeah, pumpkin pie. This isn't controversial, but what's your impressions of Kramer as a guard?
I don't know. Today was his first day there. Yeah, we're trying. We're trying to. He's a 315, 18 pounder, big kid. So we wanted to take a look at him, but we're in departmental exams right now, so he didn't practice on Tuesday. We had some guys that didn't practice today, so it's in flux. We want to get a good look at him at guard. We got a good sense with Ruland has played at guard. We know what he can do. He needed to get some work at center, so there's a lot of moving pieces there. The guy that's had a good spring so far is Leon Eichenberg. So he went over left tackle, got some work there today, and so again, to answer your question, we're gonna have a better sense of that by the end of the spring.
Do you feel confident in Hainsey's ability to flip from left tackle to right like he did today?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, he played all right tackle last year for us, so he's actually a little bit more comfortable at the right side. So. We know what his strengths are. Some things he's got to continue to work on. He knows what they are. But we've got some, we need to see a bigger body guy out there at that left tackle position too. And Liam gives us that size and strength that maybe Robert doesn't have. Robert's got outstanding technique. But, we want to be able to see them both.
It must have test out well coming out of the winter because he looks really light on his feet, more so than I think we've ever seen.
Yeah, I think it's been his best, obviously. In terms of his numbers, we had a full staff meeting with the strength staff on Tuesday, and, he's in the top 3 in every category physically. I think the only thing that he'd have to work on for the combine is his broad jump, a little bit below the numbers that he needs to be. But really like where he is physically at this point.
Coach Michael Young in not pads.
Yeah, he had a head injury on Tuesday. We think it's typical protocol here. We're working through it.
Jay Hayes wasn't in practice today. Was
academics.
Well.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jen Marquis was the last one.
He had an exam. He got back in late. We stretched him and got him in, I think, at period 16, period 17.
You're just about at the halfway point here. Are you getting that, you wanted to test weaknesses you mentioned at the beginning. Where do you feel like you are with that?
I think I've got a better idea of some of the areas that need to continue to develop and some of the areas that I think have seen, pretty good progress through the spring. I think, like our running back situation continues to strengthen. We need to find more consistency at the wide receiver position. Miles does some good things. He gets a little tired and fatigued because of all the work he's doing, and then his productivity drops a little bit. But he's got to get matched with Claypool's got to step up, and give us more on his end. And he's, he was injured, so he's working through that process. So I would say on the offensive side of the ball, we're going to find that we've got 7, 8 guys that we can work with. We'll find out what the best rotation is there. I think we're going to be solid there. I like our tight end depth. I like our running back, and now we've got to find something at the receiver position that gives us good balance. Brandon's made some progress with his accuracy, his consistency. He did a great job today in period 13 where we added a little bit of chaos to the situation where he went through a progression and checked it down to his back for a touchdown. So good poise and presence in the pocket. So a lot of positive things. Defensively, we still need to emerge at the safety position. We moved Houston Griffin back to the safety position. We're going to give him a look back there. We like his contact skills, his tackling, his ability to play the ball in the air. We're pleased with both inside linebackers and Jonathan Jones. He's got to be a guy that consistently shows up for us because he's got to be able to step in there in a more active role. So I know there's a lot there that I just said in a short period of time, but all in all, I think halfway through we've learned a lot more about our football team, and we'll continue to do that in the back half.
Which side of the ledger does the quarterback's development go on?
The positive. Okay. The positive. Ian's been a little bit spotty at times in the morning with some of his reads, and sometimes that's just focus and concentration on his part, but his feet are light. He's throwing the ball well. I like where we are there.
Could you talk a little bit more about the running backs, what you think about the positive things, the things that...
Yeah, well, it starts with Dexter and his ability to maintain himself in a position where he can be on the field for all 3 downs, and that's pass protection, play action fakes, all the little detail things that go along with playing the position. It's been something that, you know, he's been below the line on. He's shown this spring that he understands how important that is, and he's been above the line on those things. You know, his play action fakes, protections, releases, all the nuances within the offense other than just give me the ball. So he's done a nice job. Tony's been really, really steady in everything he's done. He's healthy, very coachable, and so we like that combination right now. There has to be a third back, obviously, you know, and you know, Jameer got a lot of work today and did some nice things, but he's a pup, you know, and so we'll continue to work Jafar in there as well as a hybrid player, and he had an exam today, so he wasn't out there. But I like that attention to detail.
And keeping those guys healthy, because that was a problem late in the season last year
Well, it was actually a problem throughout the year. Yeah, you know, we didn't get off to a good start with Dex, and then Tony comes up with the quad. So, yeah, I mean, it's like anything else. We need more than 2.
You had a chance to going to work Houston both at corner and safety.
Right now, we flipped him back to the safety position to give him most of the work there. We think we're in a plus situation at the cornerback position right now where we can afford to do that. And I also wanted to see Nick Coleman run some nickel. So pulling some of those reps away from Nick right now, we give to Houston. And, well, not specifically that, but the volume of reps there. And then it gives me a chance to get Nick down at the nickel. I wanted to take a look at him inside. You know, he's a really good athlete. He's got really good strength. And we really haven't – I gave him 2 years ago a look at nickel, and he did some really good things. We want to be a little bit more focused on that.
How's Drew adjusting to inside work?
I hate to say he looks natural, but it's come easy to him. You know, sometimes it's a hard fit for a guy that plays on the edge, moving inside with his reads. It's been really good.
Brian, if you get what you want out of a safety position, could this defense maybe be 2012 good? I realize that they have different characteristics and strengths, but could you have a defense that's capable of being a dominant defense?
Yeah, I can see that the safety position is going to be more productive for us. And I watch, you know, even the kids that played last year are playing better at the position. But now you add some competition with Alohi, Jordan, again, Mark Heath. I think that has changed the look back there a little bit in terms of that competition. We moved Houston back there, who had a good day today. I really feel more confident in the ability to do the things that we want to do. We're doing some things a little bit different, too. You know, in 12, you know, we were heavy rerouters on the number 2 receivers. I mean, we got hands on, and we didn't put those safeties in bad positions at all. We weren't much of a reroute with Mike, and I've asked Clark to be a good rerouter on those number 2, and we're doing a much better job of taking some of the stress off those safeties.
Brian, you've had a chance to look at some of the younger D linemen, especially interior with some guys being out. What have you seen so far from those guys?
Yeah, I like the development of Kurt and Myron. You know, they just know their assignments a little bit better. They're so much more comfortable in there and knowing what to do. I'd say that Khalid Kareem, Ade, those 2 guys at the end position have really, you know, caught our eye, if you will, in terms of the way they're practicing. And then I think, you know, we continue to see development across the board with, you know, Jerry and Dalen and you know, Bonner's not doing anything for us right now, but there's certainly we're certainly ascending, you know, in all of those positions. We're not a finished product by any means, but I like where we are.
Brandon mentioned the other day that, I guess over spring break, he went out to California and worked with Taylor Kelly, and I know in the past he worked with George Whitfield and maybe some others. How does that conversation begin with you? He tells you he wants to work with these other coaches, and how does it not conflict with what you're teaching?
That's a good question. So, you know, Brandon and I had a conversation about what kind of work were we going to do. Were we going to hang out on the beach and throw the frisbee around? Is that the kind of work we want, or is this going to be a focused, intentional workload? And you know, I know Tom House and what he does. Taylor works for Tom, and I felt like if we were going to do something outside the network, I would prefer it to be in with that group. And he agreed, and has, I think, benefited greatly from their work with him.
Does Brandon find them, or does he come to you and say, I want to work with these other people, or how
Brandon knew that there were some mechanical issues that he had to solve, so this was kind of an ongoing conversation that we've had that we actually talked about during the year. I think I probably alluded to a couple of times where we talked that we'd fix that after the year was over and some of those mechanical issues. And so it was an ongoing conversation, and then we just agreed that, look, we're going to go in this direction, we're going to work with this group, and there are great groups out there that all quarterbacks work with. We decided on this group and feel like it's been positive.
So when he comes back, do you guys have a meeting and just say, this is what I learned from them, or?
Obviously, there's a little bit more than that. I mean, you know, it's Taylor and that group, we have similar language. So we talk similarly in terms of what we see. So there was some initial conversations about, all right, how are we going to teach this? What are going to be the coaching points as it relates to footwork, delivery, exercises, training? And there was a connection there that I've always had with that group. So we knew that going forward. So when he comes back, all right, you're running X, Y, and Z drill, correct? Yes. Okay, perfect. Tommy links into that. We continue that work and development.
And you guys have, I assume, a communication with those coaches too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely. Yep. We're allowed to by NCAA rules. He's got to pay for everything, but we can certainly be involved in the communication.
Nick, working as Nick, do you want to give a stronger look at Sean Crawford as maybe just a corner, or is he still maybe your top option?
I would say that Sean is somebody that we feel can do both. You know, we'd like a little bit more size at that position, but what Sean doesn't bring in size, he brings in, you know, stripping the ball before somebody crosses the goal line. You know, he's just got savvy, and so, you know, you don't want to say, well, they got to fit this profile, because he's got, you know, traits that are a little bit different. But to have somebody like a Nick Coleman who's got some strength and some size at that position, it just made sense that we'd let them both compete in there for that position.
Sean is also vying seriously
For the corner, absolutely. Yeah, and he's doing a nice job.
For whatever it's worth, Julian knows the last few practices have been working with the second unit. Seems a little odd. Is that?
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're running boundary and field corners to build their skill set on both field and boundary. So to give Julian enough boundary work, we got to put him in some of the second unit work because we're doing some specific work with Julian. And that, I don't want to give away too much of the trade secrets here, but he needs that work for some coverages that we want to run with him.
You talked a little bit this spring about the difference between Clark's leadership style and Mike's. How have you seen the players respond to what Clark likes to do as a leader?
Well, I think leadership is in its ability to get guys to do things that they not normally would do, right? And I think Mike did a good job with it and with his style. And I think Clark is doing similarly the same thing. These kids are doing things that we want them to do in terms of running the football, the attention that they need to play this defense the way we want it to play. So far, so good. Now, we haven't played anybody, haven't played Michigan, haven't played the opener, but all things, players are attentive, they're excited, they enjoy the relationships they're building with Clark and the rest of the staff. So, you know, halfway through where we are, I feel really good about the direction.
Brian, spring's usually a time for young players to kind of stand out and show themselves.
You hope, right?
Yeah, you hope so, exactly. Have you seen anybody, some guys we haven't maybe seen a lot of that have kind of stood out to you so far?
You know, I think I mentioned a couple of guys that came in early. You know, Bo Bauer, I think, has done a really nice job of getting his nose in there and making himself available. You know, I think, you know, when you talk about getting in there physically, that's kind of the tough part. Mentally, you know, I think all the kids have done a great job. Guys that were redshirted last year and didn't play a lot, yeah, I'd say Josh Lugg probably is the one guy that kind of stands out that he's ready to play. You know, he clearly has shown that. I think from a defensive standpoint, Jeremiah Owusu has got some incredible traits. We've got to make sure we're on top of things every single day. So those are a couple of guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Good. Thanks.